I would say that I'm back, but I've never really gone anywhere, as I have been consistently uploading content to the platform, just not on this channel. About 5 years ago, I decided to cut back heavily on political content for a few different reasons. First, I felt that my time was better spent on historical endeavors. Second, our political system is depressing and disgusting, with the two parties and their corporate backers deeply embedded like ticks. Third, political channels seem bound to follow the news cycle rather than pursuing what interests them. To me, operating in shackles is no better than just simply not operating. I refuse to pretend to have any deep emotional investment in the shooting of the week, or really any cultural issue, or to willingly ignore what matters to me to cover issues that don't matter except to people who are low information. The moment that broke me was when Bernie Sanders was cheated in the 2020 primary. I was in line with my ex at a theater when she informed me of the results as they rolled in. That night, I said that the entire decade was lost for any form of positive change. So far, and I say this with great sadness, that prediction has proven to be entirely accurate. Would that the Blue No Matter Who crowd understood the idea of what it means to prepare for the future. Would that the MAGA crowd understood anything at all, except from their feelings and aesthetic preferences. Alas, our politics is controlled at every level by knaves and goobers, felons and fools. There was, and may well still be, no appetite for politics by someone who's actually read a book before. Before we proceed any further, it came to my attention while writing this piece that orange neoliberalism has already been coined as a term and that it means something different than what I used the term to describe. The established meaning of orange neoliberalism refers to the orange used for safety vest and the phenomenon in modern capitalism of increasingly fewer guardrails for those at the bottom and more safety and security for those at the top. That definition of orange neoliberalism is something that is unlikely to lose its relevance anytime soon, sad to say. For now, let's leave our hard hats and road signs behind and return to what I was trying to articulate. Had I not lost my interest in American politics in 2020, I was planning to write and release an essay called Orange Neoliberalism, where I planned to argue that the politics of Donald Trump represent not an evolution away from neoliberalism, but rather an evolution within neoliberalism into a slightly different form. The premise, based upon Trump's handling of the office during his first term, was that all of the change that he brought about was purely superficial. Trump remained every bit as committed to elite dominance as every president since Reagan, but he hid it by letting his freak flag fly a little bit. This new color of neoliberalism was something that I felt was at the heart of Trump's political project. As for the many people who claim that Trump was anti-war, I am proud to say that I pointed out his warmongering tendencies on the relatively few political streams I have done over the last several years. For the most part, orange neoliberalism was just, let me redo that, for the most part, orange neoliberalism was just neoliberalism, but executed in a haphazard, chaotic, and clownish manner. Things got worse, but not dramatically so. By and large, the first term of Trump was about what I thought it would be, if not slightly better, since he largely lost focus after he passed the massive tax cut for the wealthy and corporations right out of the gate in 2017. Somewhere between the 2016 and 2020 elections, Trump forgot about boosting domestic manufacturing and tried to frame the entire election as being about his personal grievances and the supposed theft of the 2020 election. The Biden years were mostly uneventful in terms of being devoid of turning points. Some of his legislation was not insignificant, even if it has not proven to be durable. There were also some excellent cabinet picks, especially Lena Khan. However, despite some change when compared with Obama, including keeping some of the tariffs from Trump's first term, there was no real effort by the Democrats to move on from the neoliberal order. I could detect a yearning for something different, as seen by the increase in unionization and the Democrats attempting to tone down their utter contempt for the working class. However, as with the first term of Trump, nothing fundamentally changed. If Trump was orange neoliberalism, then Joe Biden was Bengay neoliberalism. as he was little more than a caretaker who occasionally improved something on the margins, while not pursuing a grand plan of any kind. The idea was to manage the government quietly and competently so that Trump voters would not be tempted by his vague offers of a brighter future and his constant playing up of grievances, including, most notably, his continued promotion of the big lie. So, why am I back now after a 5-year break? And what is the plan for the newly redubbed Politics After Dark? Simply put, for better or worse, almost entirely worse, let's face it, there are finally new things to talk about. As I mentioned at the outset, I am not someone who derives any pleasure or meaning from beating a dead horse and obsessing over topics where I have already shared my insight. It is for that reason that I am loath to revisit topics barring having access to new material or possessing some trenchant new perspective on the matter. It strikes me as a waste of my time and yours to observe the same things repeatedly, even if they are important and true. The so-called flooding of the zone pursued by Trump's second administration is decidedly not good for the country, but it's also not boring. Since it is a wild ride, and there are lots of things I can cover without being engulfed in ennui, I figured, well, fuck it. For me, I can only put out dedication when it is fueled by passion. Hence, why I can always do history, but there are plenty of times where I can't be bothered with American politics. Currently, I am thinking that I will do about one video on this channel a week, and that I will vary the focus of the content. One mistake that I made in the old days of Spirit of Thersites was trying to do some wide-ranging series to cover individual representatives and senators, but I quickly found that very few of them are compelling people. Instead of doing that, I will instead seek to recreate the formula that got my history channel rolling by covering what interests me at the moment. Perhaps I will do a reaction video. Perhaps I will even make an occasional visit to the fecal bacteria-infested waters of the culture wars. But most videos will most likely be about either kitchen table issues, corruption, accountability, or foreign policy. My hope is that at least half or so of the videos will have at least some evergreen quality to them, and will still be relevant if you end up catching them late because they fell through the cracks of your subscription feed or the algorithm only introduced you to my channel recently. What I can promise is that I will hold nothing back and take no prisoners. I used to fear saying something that would get me in trouble, but between you and me, the job market is sufficiently shitty that I just don't think it's going to make a difference. I hope that all of you are having a good start to 2026, or at least as good of a start as you can, knowing that we will almost certainly be in a recession and/or a major war by the end of the year. Take care of yourselves and stay frosty. This is Politics After Dark. If you are listening to this, then you are the skull fucking left.